Secure 65 health plans, breaking news. Guess what, America? You just got a new marching order. Work longer. Dr. Oz wants you to retire later. And this information was just released yesterday by the Kaiser Family Foundation. Hi, everyone. Guess what you just got? Yep, new marching orders. Work longer. And I'm going to tell you why Dr. Oz wants you to retire later. So let's get into it. Dr. Mehmet Oz, now running the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, is making a high-stakes pitch that's lighting up Washington and simply and quietly terrifying kitchen tables across the country. His message is blunt, polished, and controversial. If Americans stayed healthier and worked just one more year, well, the economy could explode with trillions of dollars in growth. Oz calls it vitality. Critics call it privilege. And millions of working Americans hear it as something else entirely different: pressure. So let's dive into the one more year plan by Dr. Mehmet Oz. At a recent appearance at the National Press Club, Dr. Oz framed delayed retirement as a sign of strength, agency, and national responsibility. According to him, getting Americans to work an extra year by retiring later or starting earlier, well, that could inject nearly 3 trillion, trillion with a T, into the economy. In Oz's vision, longer work lives mean healthier bodies, sharper minds, and a stronger nation. He argues that people retire early not because they're done, but because they're unhealthy. They retire and then fix their health, Oz said, and it should be the opposite. I agree. The underlying message: tune up your body, stay productive, keep the machine running. And they would do that if they could. I think it's an interesting concept, don't you think? So let me tell you the truth about what they're not saying out loud. Not everyone gets the same body, the same job, or the same finish line. Research is brutally clear about this. Wealthier, college-educated Americans already retire later. They live longer. They work desk jobs that don't wreck their backs and their knees. Their work is often stimulating, flexible, and identity-affirming. 76% of people with graduate degrees are still working at 67. For people with only a high school diploma, yes, sadly, only 39%. And that's not motivation, you guys, that's just math. Lower income Americans are more likely to work physically demanding jobs, retire earlier, because guess what? Their bodies give out and die sooner. They're not leaving work to go play pickleball. They're leaving because they're exhausted, they're injured, or simply done surviving on low wages. Dr. Oz, well, he doesn't know anything about that. And therefore, his bright idea, well, it hits them differently. Telling them to just work one more year seems nearly impossible. And then my next question is simply, work longer for what? The political backlash was immediate. So listen, representatives across the country, pay attention. The Democratic National Committee accused Oz of quietly asking Americans to work longer, you ready, to help offset the ballooning federal deficit tied to President Donald Trump's tax and immigration legislation bill. Yeah. You know what? That bill added roughly 3.4 trillion with a T to the national debt. In other words, is this about health or about plugging a fiscal hole with human stamina? Think about it. But of course, Oz denies the framing. He insists this is about well being, dignity, and engagement. He points to studies showing that people who work longer tend to stay mentally sharper and socially connected. And yes, I agree, and I know that is true, but it's also incomplete. So let's talk about the reality on the ground. Meet the people living in the gap between theory and reality. A 65-year-old airport worker still shuttling rental cars because Social Security doesn't cover rent. A former IT specialist who walked away at 59, not because she hated work, but because she was done giving decades of her life to one system. Older workers sending out resumes and never ever hearing back, not because they lack skill, but because age quietly closed the door. And for them, retirement isn't a philosophical debate. You understand? It's math based on survival. As one economist puts it, people with low earnings really can't work much longer than they already are. They are done. This appears to be the fact that most professionals and high income earners don't seem to understand because it's simply not part of their reality. The uncomfortable truth is that we need to all consider everything. Dr. Oz isn't wrong that health matters. He's not wrong that meaningful work can be good for the mind. And he's not wrong that America is aging fast. But here's the part that's setting his whole story on fire. You can't ask a tired, unequal workforce to carry the economy on its back without first fixing the system that wore them down. Does that make sense? Longer life expectancy isn't evenly distributed. Healthy food isn't evenly accessible. And engaging work isn't evenly offered. Until those gaps close, retire later? Well, that's not going to sound like inspiration. It will sound like an order that no one is willing to follow. And let me tell you why I want you to share this story, you guys, and make it go viral quickly. And why it needs your attention right now to bring more attention to this situation nationwide, to everyone who lives in the United States of America. It begs the question no one wants to answer plainly. And that is America asking its workers to age with dignity or to age on the clock? Because this isn't just about retirement. It's about who gets rest, who gets choice, and who gets told to push through one more year. And even worse, that's for the good of everyone else, not them. Does that make sense? And that's why the extra year hustle conversation isn't going away anytime soon. I'm Monet Swan, and this is Secure 65 Health Plans, breaking news to share with your friends, family, colleagues, and your neighbors. Put your comments below. I want to hear them. Tell me what you think. Share, like, and subscribe so that we can get this information out to the masses, and especially to those who need it. We all need to lean in and tell the rest of the world what we think about this and what we can do as a United States to stop it and replace it with other ideas that truly would be good for all. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.